Hi, welcome to My America Unfiltered. This is Kevin back with you again. I want to say thank everyone that's took the time out to stop and view my channel, like and subscribe. And I want to say that this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. And this is based on my personal opinion, how I feel about the situation, and how the shitbag Donald Trump is below dirt, sinking in the sea in Poland throughout the United States. And I'm so tickled to death that the American people's really starting to see that this guy is not worth a damn. Excuse my language, but I thought it would never happen that MAGA and some of the die-hard Trumpers would never turn on this guy to the point where it is now. And I know it's a lot that still stands 10 toes behind him. But this man's full of cons, lies, cheats, steals, manipulates, cons. Every fucking thing you could think of in the book, he's been a part of. That's how he become $2 to $3 billion richer since he's been in the office in a year and a half, going on 2 years. Most people can't make that money in a lifetime. Most people with family members, siblings, uncles, aunts, fathers, and mothers combined can't make that money in a lifetime or won't never see that type of money in a lifetime. So tell me, how do a 80 something year old man, 80-year-old man make that type of money sitting in the office? Yeah, that's right, sitting in the office, because the power he has at his fingertips. But it's a lot more behind the curtain than we seeing, that's making this show run the way it has. But finally he's tanking in polls, and we about to find out what the American people and some of the Trumpers and the megas is thinking about their shithead president. To further ado, let's see what they got to say about this. I hope you enjoy.
We have a big show tonight. We begin with the storm of problems raining on Donald Trump in the GOP with less than 3 months before the midterms. Tonight, Trump facing a massive polling crash, rising gas prices, an unpopular war of choice, and a MAGA revolt by some of his closest MAGA allies and voters. Look at this. Trump's approval rating is now at the lowest point of his second term, according to newly released average from prominent pollster Nate Silver. His average approval has sunk to 38%, the lowest number any president has faced at this point in his second term since Harry Truman. Some polls have him as low as 32%. His average disapproval sits at 58%, also the worst of his second term. And this probably won't help at all. Trump telling supporters at a rally last night, quote, "We may have to send oil prices higher amid the Iran war," implicitly taking ownership of high gas prices. And it's not just Trump, though. His own Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, making headlines by downplaying.
That's a piece of shit, too. Bassett is a piece of shit. If you look closely, he's got Trump's defecation on his lips.
Income inequality. Bessent rejecting the term K-shaped economy, shorthand for the income gap. Watch what he said compared to what multiple Trump voters told MS Now's Alex Tabbitt.
My opinion, I'm going to be honest with you, and this is quick. This is something I'm going to drop real quick, but I remember when I was putting $25 worth of gas at a time in my vehicle, and it would last a few days throughout back and forth to work and my little local errands here in town. I promise you, this is no exaggeration. I could put $25 in gas, and within 2 days, I'm back at the gas pump putting more gas in. My personal opinion, I think they diluting the hell out of that gas with ethanol, and it's burning really, really fast in vehicles. Oh yeah, you see your needle jump up, but you drive around and go to your job and get off, go to the store, go by the babysitters, pick up or daycare, pick up your kids or whatever your day consists of in your errands. And you look and your gas is gone and you're like, wow, I just put this much in it. Well, that's what I've been saying. I honestly think they're diluting it so bad that it's burning like twice or 2.5 times faster than it was a year and a half ago before this Iran shit that took place with this war that Trump shouldn't have never put us in there. But you think about it. You hear him sit there and say that Ukraine got all these weapons and this there. No, 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 no. Ukraine got some weapons. But Joe Biden didn't sit there and feed Ukraine no bunch of weapons where it would put the United States in a situation like Trump's got them in, got us in now. Believe that. Before he'd have done that, he would have stopped and ceased it and spoke up why he wasn't going to do it. But we got to first and foremost think back when everything went on with Israel and over there where they was bombing them people and killing all them innocent people for months. Steady bombing. Boom. They was carpet bombing everything in there in Gaza, the Gaza Strip, just disintegrating everything. Where you think all them bombs came from? Out Israel's ass? No, they came out of the United States stockpiles. Trump was shipping cargoes, I'm assuming now, allegedly, that he was shipping cargoes of planes of weapons to help Israel commit genocide against Gaza. Come on, man. These countries, just because they're a different race and might have different beliefs and the way they live, don't make them the deserve to die. That don't make them unedible to live in the world. Come on. Then in that case, there would be several countries getting that done to them. They're doing it because they want to gain off of it. They're gaining off of it. Whatever sick, twisted reason it is, but you think about that there. that big campaign, bombing campaign that went on with Israel and Gaza Strip, and how long all that stuff was, and all the damages, and all the thousands and thousands of bombs that was dropped on Gaza. And then he gonna jump up and go head to head with Iran, and Iran had a lot more in store than what Trump thought so. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I think there was a bunch or a couple generals or whatever explaining to Trump, hey, this ain't a good idea. We're not strong enough to go up against them. We don't got the right military equipment and bombs to do this here. Oh, shut up, you fired. Get out. We don't need you here no more. I need somebody that's gonna yes man and drop bombs. Okay? Drop bombs. Now you can't drop bombs because you ain't got no more to drop bombs. When the truth is going to be revealed about the stuff that's been damaged and the United States has lost by attacking Iran, it's going to blow the American people's minds back. It's going to be unbelievable of the money, the price, not only all the stuff that we lost in that war, not counting service men and women that's irreplaceable. Fuck the bombs, fuck the planes, fuck the helicopters, the drones, the reapers, all that shit there. Fuck all that. Excuse my language, but I'm pissed because when I start thinking about people getting killed for no reason, just for being wanting to serve their country, they didn't have a real reason why they died. We weren't being attacked. We weren't being threatened to die, and they were stood up and died in a I can't even pronounce it. That's how bad it just bothers me when I think about the families and the soldiers that lost their life to this senseless ass war that this no good piece of shit of a president has caused for no apparent reason. I'm sorry.
I got sick of hearing about this K-shaped economy.
You can't save now. Every dollar you have has to go to gas, groceries, bills, rent.
I can say here definitively the K-shaped economy is over.
You know, you can't do anything with gas prices, and you just you can't afford to breathe at this point.
And we're seeing more of a C economy where the lower end of wage earners are finally clawing it back, just like they did in President Trump's first term.
Low class might as well, crawl in a hole because they can't afford anything.
It's not just a few Trump voters, though. Trump is also dealing with a new revolt from exiled MAGA members, led by Tucker Carlson, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and others. They seem to be considering the launch of a MAGA alternative, arguing Trump has, quote, betrayed America. Carlson also releasing a 10-point manifesto for how to rebuild the country after the president is done wrecking it, as the Daily Beast puts it. Carlson then blasting Trump on camera.
So you have the President of the United States, whatever they tell you, openly threatening the use of nuclear weapons in a conflict that has no immediate or obvious resolutions. You've already proven yourself incapable of leadership because that's crazy. That's beyond reckless. It's literally suicidal and homicidal.
Now, Trump is also reportedly taking his anger directly to members of his own cabinet. The Washington Post reporting on a clash in which Trump pressed his Pentagon chief.
Heck said they should have been kicked his ass out of the. They should have got that man out of there after the first 2 or 3 weeks of any war over there when they went to Venezuela. They should have put his ass out of office then. That drunk, no good, disgusting. Let me be careful and be more wiser on how I choose my words, because I could say some very terrible things that would not be appropriate, but I don't even see how that dude even was even put in there. I do. I see why. He met all the criteria for Donald Trump. Donald Trump knew that he would lick the shit off the bottom of his boot if he asked him to or told him to, because he wanted that position so bad to be in control. And he can't even explain where in the hell money's been spent or where it's going or nothing. It's so much money flowing through there. That's why they wanting that $1.5 trillion. Before it's all said and done, they're going to get that $1.5 trillion if the Democrats don't take over and stop this shit. They're going to run this country so deep down in the fucking hole, it's going to take decades for us to be able to ever get out of this debt that we in. Simply because, if you would hand them a $1.5 trillion right now, in 6 months, we got to file this emergency. We need another 600 billion right now. We need another 1,200 billion now. We need it. We need it right now. We went through all the missiles, and we need more weapons. We need more weapons. We're gonna fight the world. We're gonna take the world out. That would be them. That's what they're doing now. That's why they keep saying they need one for $1.5 trillion. Notice the money's going up, up. Next thing you're going to know, you're going to hear talk Don Jr. and Eric got their own defense system going on. They already got the drone system, drone capabilities of making drones. So next thing they're gonna be making missiles and stuff, and you're gonna see a company fly out the bushes that's out of the back of a meat market somewhere that started making missiles. I mean, that's what's gonna happen. That's what's been happening. All these fake ass people in here ain't doing nothing but grabbing money. They run into the purse, which is the Congress, the Republicans that's in power, telling them that they need this money. That's why they've approved so much stuff and agreed with so much stuff and run out there and, yeah, Trump needs this, Trump needs that. I think everyone needs to stand on the side and do this here. And they even got John Fetterman agreeing with them and siding with them and voting with them. A supposedly Democrat. He needs to be put out of the fucking office. He needs to be put out of the office. That's where he needs to be done. He don't never again do he ever need to get close to being in a government office.
Pete Hegseth over America's dwindling munitions. Trump reportedly demanding answers on the, quote, extreme munition shortages that now threaten to limit military options with Iran. The White House denies the exchange occurred, But it's all context for the GOP's growing midterm fears. Politico reporting on a closed-door Senate GOP meeting where the big question was, when is Trump going to focus on the midterms and take the advice of his own team? One Republican senator asking, quote, when Trump would start attacking Democrats instead of attacking Republicans. Things are not much better over in the House. Axios reporting on Democrats' improving map. Quote, 4 scandal-plagued House Republicans whose seats should be gimmies for the GOP have instead turned their races into unexpected battlegrounds. And that's where we start tonight, trouble surrounding Trump and the GOP just 3 months from the midterms. Joining me now is Molly Jong-Bass, contributor writer for the New York Times, host of Fast Politics podcast, and MS Now political analyst Rick Wilson, co-founder of the Lincoln Project, and political strategist who has worked on multiple Republican presidential campaigns. Molly, Rick, thank you both for joining here this evening. Molly, thanks, Mark. Let's start with you here. Taking all of this together, the numbers don't look good for Republicans. Donald Trump, the head of their party, is in denial over his polling. What would you tell Democrats, though, who may be getting ahead of themselves about what they should be cautious for at this point?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think right now what Democrats need to focus on is getting sort of solidarity after some bruising primaries. What needs to happen now is that the loser in the primary needs to endorse the winner. That needs to happen in Michigan. That happened in Texas. Those kind of things. The Democrats need to get together and sort of, even though there's a lot happening in the Democratic Party right now. But right before the midterms, and we're like a little bit less than 90 days from the midterms, Democrats really need to be focused on unity, on turning out their voters, on exciting their base, which is excited, and about, getting voter turnout and making sure that the midterms are safe. Because remember, there's a lot of voter intimidation coming from the Republican side and a lot of, sort of stuff coming from Trump.
And I got to say something about that. I hope the American people really understand all this mongering about, the Democrats wants to defund the police, the Democrat wants to take away your gun rights, the Democrat wants to take this, take that. They don't want to do nothing. They don't believe in God. They want to take your Christianity away from you. They want to plunge your head upside the wall. They want to stick you in prison. They want you to, all that is to try to convince people that we're like some secret evil people that don't want life to be lived. And it's him. Trump is the fucking biggest one out of anybody that's doing all this damage to people, trying to take your voting rights, trying to take your, hold on, not trying, let me rephrase that. He took your insurance, destroyed people's insurance, where they can't even afford to get treated if something was to happen and they fell ill. Imagine that the people that's passed away that you don't even know about. It was somebody's family, a loved one, somebody that was close to that person. It's sad when you can't do nothing. It's one thing to sit there and see a hospital or doctors do everything they can to save a loved one and a family member, or your significant other, or your children, or your child. And they did everything under the sun to try to keep them alive. But it's a whole different ball game when you're looking at them and they saying, I'm sorry, you don't have the coverage to continue getting treated, so we could save you, but you don't have the funds available through your insurance carrier for us to do this surgery that could save your life. I apologize. You know what? That doctor's going home. And he's going to wake up and go to the next one that's got insurance that he can help to get that money. That one that died, or them 10 that died the day before, oh well, they ain't have the money. I couldn't help them. That ain't how it should be. People should be able to have insurance and Medicaid or so whatever it is, to be treated without worrying about dying because they ain't got no insurance or can't afford the medication. Look at the medication, how much medication is now. Like, when I say medication is through the roof, it's crazy. It's crazy.
World that, is problematic for any stretch of reasons.
So, Rick, on the other side of this, we reported at MS Now that associates of Trump's own political operation understand he's not going to perfectly echo the GOP strategic messaging campaign. He's going to say whatever he feels like saying on any given day. But what would you tell the Senate GOP over their meeting in which they were expressing concerns about Trump and the lack of seriousness in which he has taken the midterms here?
I mean, have they not met him? This is a man who does not think about the Republican Party as a party he has to help. It's all a one-way street for him. It's like, do they obey me? Do they like me? Do they come and kiss the ring? And really, their electoral prospects this year have been damaged because of Donald Trump's actions on tariffs, on the war, on a host of other areas. And the one thing they should do, which is to get some daylight on him and talk about affordability, is the one thing they can't do. So instead, they're stuck with his messaging of screaming about imaginary communists everywhere. I think that it is a very tough spot for the Republicans. And, the House is looking very, very problematic. And the Senate should have been a lot easier for them. And it's getting worse by the day.
Molly, meanwhile, a moderate Democrat group known as Third Way is planning a $15 million spend to oppose progressive Dems and try to convince the country that progressive Democratic policies are not the way forward. Can the progressive movement, though, at this point be stalled by Dems or moderate Dems who are concerned that they can't win in battleground races, or does this only hurt the wider Democratic Party as a whole at this point?
I think it's hard to know what this money will do. Look, the thing we've seen from the Michigan Democratic primary results is that candidate quality matters. And even if a spend will help, it doesn't necessarily get a candidate over the line. And I think, like, with the progressives who won, they have been actually very strong candidates. Like, when you hear El Sayed speak, he's a very good speaker. And he has the same thing that Zoran has, where he's very good at staying on message. I mean, he has this call and response, money in your pocket, Medicare for all. Like, these are things that voters have said they wanted. And remember, the Democratic base is very angry, and they want to see their people fighting for them. And this may not be so simple. This may not just be progressives versus moderates. This may be an angry base that feels the party has not delivered for them, and them wanting candidates who are offering something that feels like it's going to happen imminently. And so I don't know that the framing is as simple as that. Also, there are some real problems with the Democratic establishment right now, like the DNC, and I just don't understand why they're focusing on a part of the party, or even, when they could be focusing on the sort of larger infrastructure problems. That money could go to candidates and not against Democratic candidates.
Rick, well, we're talking about the factions that exist within the Democratic Party. I believe you and I was going back. We first sat down and met up for coffee in Tallahassee literally a decade ago here this summer. Yeah. And we were talking about the future of the GOP at that point. Mm-hmm. But when you're talking about the future of the Democratic Party, this time, 10 years later, I'm going to ask you, because you're looking at progressive Abdul El-Sayed running in Michigan, but also you have your fellow Republican David Jolly running as a Democrat now for governor of Florida. What does the Democratic Party's future look like? And if you were advising a Republican at this point, they're running against a Democratic Party that has a lot of elements to it at this point.
Look, the Republicans would like to categorize all Democrats as wild-haired, flaming communists, ignoring candidate quality, as mentioned just a moment ago. Look, they've got candidates across the political spectrum running in the country in states where they fit. And Syed, he fits. He works for that state. He works for Michigan. Maybe that wouldn't work in North Carolina, but in North Carolina we've got a great candidate who's more in the center left. In Florida, Jolly is in the center left, and all these Democratic candidates, it's actually inverted what the Republican Party used to be. You used to have liberal Republicans, moderate Republicans, conservative Republicans. Now you only have Trump Republicans. And the Democrats have got candidates running who are in all different wings of the party. So it is a little bit more of a slippery target for the GOP to say absolutely all of them are the same as Mamdani or the same as AOC or the same as the Squad. It's a really tough assignment because you see these people who have also this year come out. The Democrats have also come out with a slate of much more talented candidates than they have in a long time. So I think that they're in a better position to resist some of that attack vector from the GOP.
So
I'd just like to add one thing. There's also a group of independents in states where the Democratic Party brand is bad. And they are running not as left versus right, but as up versus down. And so you have people like Dan Osborne in Nebraska and Rob Sand in Iowa and Josh Turek in Iowa, who are candidates that are actually trying to get this movement, this progressive. It's not progressive. It's more just like a worker movement, a union movement. And I think it defies naming in a way. It's really its own thing. And I think that the fact that they're not running as Democrats, that they're running as independents in states where Democratic brand is bad is meaningful.
Rick, we got one last quick one for you here. I'll push back a little bit on the idea that the GOP is now wholly in lockstep with Donald Trump in uniform, because if I may, it seems like there's almost factions of MAGA now. Tucker Carlson, Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene. What is the future of this sort of alternative MAGA, and does it have an impact in the Republican Party beyond 2026?
The real question is, does Tucker take this in-house into the Republican process and become a lightning rod for a lot of that populist anger that is very anti-war, et cetera, or does he do it on the outside and try to form a new party or a new movement? That I think that would be very dangerous for the Republicans, because even if it only pulls 2 or 3%, it's going to cause a very large upset in the electoral chemistry for the GOP at the presidential level.
I think there's going to be some very interesting races this midterm. And I pray to God that a lot of them's Democrats that take over some of the majority of these seats, so we can get back in there and control something and have a say to help the American people. But once again, I want everyone to please, if you're from South Carolina, please vote for Dr. Annie. Please help her get put in as Senate. We don't need Lindsey Graham's sister in there. She knows nothing. She's never been involved in none of this here before. Neither has Dr. Annie. But I could tell she's genuine and pure with what she's interested in doing, and that's trying to help the American people in South Carolina. And I think she would be a very good candidate and a strong candidate that could actually stand for us in South Carolina. And I pray to God she actually wins. I speak about her often to different people just to try to, and a lot of people don't even know who she is. I don't know if it's not no ads being done. I just don't know. I don't understand, because everybody I name her to here in South Carolina, they're like, I've never heard of her. I don't even know what she looks like. I've never heard her talk. So I'm trying to get the word out and I'm going to do a little bit more here in the next couple of weeks to actually really try to help get her known more here in my county and in the state of South Carolina. Even if I had to put up flyers with her on it, and I don't know. But we all need to pull together as American people and do what's right. We need to get this country back like it was, but only better. And I think everyone needs to give a fair shot and give the Democrats an honest effort to see if they can help fix Americans and help Americans and help our country and see if they can get things back on track. I'm confident that they will, but we got a few that need to be primaried out of the office too. AOC, she's a firecracker. Like she's a head leader. And old Bernie Sanders, I mean, yeah, you talk shit about the age and everything, but Bernie Sanders, he's like an energizer bunny. He keeps going and going and going and going and going. That man's something to reckon with to be his age, though. I can only imagine him 40 years ago. I can only imagine meeting him or seeing him 40 years ago. But us Democrats, we got to fight for this position, and we need to do the right thing, stick together, and work with whoever and however to get things done. And don't let the American people down if you get position and power. Honor your promises and your words and keep your promises to the American people, and don't let your position get in the way of that. We got about 2 more years almost of this whatever you want to call him that's in the White House. Hopefully, if y'all better hope he don't get that ballroom built, 'cause if he do, it's over. Y'all gonna have a damn hook a crane up to it to get him drug out of that motherfucker. That's crazy. Y'all have a nice day, and maybe I hope you enjoyed the little clip, and I'll be dropping more here soon. And remember, vote blue.